Hello students, welcome to CMI's online classes. Today we'll read the next lesson for the students of Standard 9, Lesson 4, A Truly Beautiful Mind. This chapter is about Albert Einstein. We all know him as a great scientist. The title of the chapter, A Truly Beautiful Mind, refers to Albert Einstein. This chapter is a short biography of his, where some of his qualities have been highlighted. Albert's interest in mathematics and physics, and also his humanistic attribute. All these things have been highlighted in the story. Now, that is why the title of the chapter is A Truly Beautiful Mind. And we all wonder that how can a scientist's mind be beautiful, because in this lesson we'll get to know another aspect of Einstein. He had humanistic attribute. He advocated world peace. He advocated non-violence, and that is why the title refers to him as a truly beautiful mind. With this introduction, let's begin reading the lesson. Albert Einstein was born on 14 March 1879 in the German city of Ulm. He was born in Germany. When he was a little child, no one could predict that one day he will become a great scientist. Instead, on the contrary, his mother thought Albert was a freak. Freak means a word used disapprovingly to talk about a person who is unusual and doesn't behave, look or think like others. So in fact, Albert's mother thought that Albert was a freak. So he did not behave, he did not look like normal people. He was different from the children of his age, and his mother thought he was freak. He was behaving abnormally. He was not behaving like normal children. In fact, it seemed as he had lower or lesser intelligence in comparison to other children. To his mother, his head seemed much too large. Albert's mother thought that the little boy's head was a bit too big in comparison to other children's head. At the age of 2.5, Einstein still wasn't talking, so he started speaking when he was 2.5 in age. When he finally learned to speak, he uttered everything twice. Uttered means spoke. That means when he started speaking, he repeated twice every word he spoke. Einstein did not know what to do with other playmates, so his playmates called him Brother Boring. So he remained to himself. He did not play with his friends, with his playmates, with his classmates, and that is why they had termed him as Brother Boring. Actually, he was interested in mechanical toys. That gives an indication since childhood he was interested in physics. He was interested in machines. Once, looking at his newborn sister Maja, he had asked about her wheels. Actually, he was referring wheels to the feet of the baby. From this, we come to know that Albert Einstein had an analytical mind. He could reason. That is why the little boy had seen the baby's feet were not seen, and the feet were referred to the wheels, which was a strange word for anyone to compare with. Might be it was possible that Einstein used to play with toys, and the toys have wheels, and his sister was too small like a toy, so he also thought her a toy and referred her feet as the wheels. Once his headmaster told his father what Einstein chose as a profession wouldn't matter because he would never succeed in life. This negative remark on Einstein was due to he was always remained to himself. He did not interact with people. He did not speak much, so the principal could not make out what kind of brain and intelligence he had. And that is why he made such statement. He learned playing violin at the age of 6 because his mother wanted him to. Later he became a gifted amateur violinist, maintaining the skill throughout his life. Amateur means doing something for personal enjoyment rather than as a profession, something which is our hobby. He played the violin as a hobby, not as a profession. But Albert Einstein was not a bad pupil. He was not a bad student. He went to high school in Munich because his family had shifted from to Munich when he was 15 months old. He even scored good marks in almost every subject, so he was good at studies. Einstein hated the school's regimentation as the school was very strict and had very strict disciplines which he hated much, and because of which he often clashed with his teachers. He opposed them. Einstein felt so stifled, so suffocated there that he left the school for good, forever. When Albert Einstein left the school 1 year before that, his parents had moved to another city called Milan, which is in Italy, and Albert was left with his relatives. He had a long discussion with his family, his relatives, and finally his parents agreed to put him in a school in Switzerland. And the language used there in the new school for communication was German. The school here in Switzerland was more liberal than that in Munich. Einstein was good at studies. He was highly gifted in mathematics. So he was exceptionally good in mathematics, and he also had interest in physics. So once he finished his school, he joined a university in Zurich. Zurich is another city in Switzerland. Science was not the only thing he liked. So other than science, he had interest in something else also. Other than maths and science, Albert Einstein liked one of his fellow students. Her name was Mileva Maric. He found Mileva was very sharp and intelligent. So Albert Einstein met Mileva Maric in the University of Zurich. Mileva belonged to Serbia, so she is called Serb. Mileva had come to study in Switzerland because it was some of the few universities in Europe that granted degrees to women too. And the University of Zurich was one of those universities. Now, Einstein felt that Mileva was a friend because she also liked art, literature and music. Both Einstein and Mileva had common interests, so they together were against the Philistines, against those people who do not like art, music and literature. The family of Albert Einstein was also Philistines because they were not interested and against the interest of Einstein to art and literature. And many other people were there also who had no interest in art and literature. The two Einstein and Mileva always stood and faced these people. Finally, Albert Einstein and Mileva Maric fell in love. They were in love and they exchanged love letters to express their feelings. They used to write letters in such a way where they put their words mixing science with tenderness. It was fun to read their conversation and expression in their love letters. In 1900, at the age of 21, Albert Einstein had graduated from the university, but he was unemployed. He worked as a teaching assistant, gave private lessons, and finally secured a job in 1902 in Bern, a city in Switzerland, in a patent office as a technical expert. Actually, Einstein's job was to assess other people's inventions, but secretly he was also doing some inventions of his own. He used to work in his office and he called his desk drawer the Bureau of Theoretical Physics because there only he started working on his inventions, which are the base of modern physics. In 1905, Albert Einstein published his first paper, which was about special theory of relativity. It was written that the measurement of time and distance is not absolute. He meant to say that the measurement of these were dependent on some other things. He further said, the two clocks do not show the same time when compared. Einstein's special theory of relativity gave us this basic formula of physics, that is, E is equals to mc square. E stands for energy, m stands for mass of the object, and c stands for the speed of light in vacuum where there is no air, and the speed of light in vacuum is almost 3 lakh km per second. To put this relativity into simpler words, Einstein said that when you sit with a nice girl for 2 hours, it seems like 2 minutes. But when you sit on a hot stove for 2 minutes, it seems like 2 hours. That is relativity. He meant to say that the time of feeling is different and the time is not constant. Einstein's personal life had started failing when he was solving the problem of physics for the world. He began to face problems in his personal life. Albert wanted to marry Mileva soon after his graduation, but his mother was against it. She thought Mileva was too old for Albert as she was 3 years elder to Albert. Albert's mother was also bothered by Mileva's intelligence, so Einstein put his marriage off. He cancelled his marriage with Mileva. But finally Albert Einstein married Mileva Maric in 1903 and they had 2 sons. But after a few years their married life became weak. Mileva found herself that she was losing her intellectual ambition. She became an unhappy housewife. After years of continuous fighting, when Mileva could not fulfill her ambitions, the couple finally divorced in 1909. The same year, Albert got married for the second time with his cousin Elsa. At the same time when he got married to Elsa, Albert rose to world famous. Everyone came to know he was a great scientist. In 1915, he published his another paper based on the general theory of relativity, where Einstein gave a new interpretation to the theory of gravity, that everything falls towards the earth. And in Eclipse of Sun in 1919 brought proof that Einstein's theory of relativity was accurate. He had stated the change of the position of stars due to solar eclipse earlier in advance. So the work of Einstein was called a scientific revolution and Einstein became world famous. Einstein received the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1921. Nobel Prize is a famous award based on the will of a famous Swedish scientist Alfred Nobel and was established in 1895. The first Nobel Prize was awarded in 1901 and Einstein had received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1921. He was honored and invited all over the world. So his life changed when he married Elsa. In 1933, when Nazis came into power in Germany, Einstein left his country to settle permanently in United States. The famous ruler of Nazis in Germany was Adolf Hitler. After 5 years in Berlin, the capital of Germany, nuclear fission was discovered. Nuclear fission was a process through which nuclear bombs are used. Because of this, scientists in America were very upset. They were afraid that Adolf Hitler would use this technology to destroy any country. So many of the scientists had fled from fascism like Einstein had, and they were afraid that the Nazis could build and use an atomic bomb. Fascism is a dictatorial concept started in Europe from Italy by the rule of Benito Mussolini. Benito Mussolini was also a dictator just like Adolf Hitler. Because of this dictatorial rule, many scientists had fled to USA from Europe, just like Albert Einstein. The scientists were afraid that the Nazis who worked under Adolf Hitler had discovered the atom bomb and they would use it to destroy any country. Then Albert Einstein was requested by a colleague and he wrote a letter to the President of America. Franklin D. Roosevelt was the President of America at that time. He had written the letter on 2 August 1939, warning that the atomic bomb developed by Germany was very dangerous, that if it is exploded in a port, it would destroy not only the port but also other parts surrounded by the port. This makes clear that Albert Einstein was also a humanitarian, as he was concerned about the human destruction. The letter affected the government of America. The government reacted in such a way that the Americans also developed the atomic bomb secretly and dropped it on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945. We all know this. This is about World War II that had caused a huge destruction. There was a huge destruction and Einstein was deeply shaken by it. This time he wrote a public missive, a letter especially long and official to the United Nations organization. Unlike the letter to Roosevelt, this letter made no impact. Because of the destruction of World War II, an organization called United Nations Organization was established. and Einstein had written a public letter in which he had proposed the formation of a world government, but the letter had no impact. And for the next 10 years, Einstein got more involved in politics and agitated against those countries to stop and bring to an end the development of arms and ammunition. He got more involved in world peace, using his popularity to campaign for world peace and freedom of people. Einstein had a caliber that he was a visionary. He could foresee the future and could predict at the present time. So when he died in 1955 at the age of 76, he was celebrated as a visionary, as a person who could think about the future in an original and intelligent way. He was a world citizen who always thought the whole world as his home. So, besides being a genius scientist, he was also an advocate of world peace and freedom. So, now we know one more quality of Albert Einstein, that he was a humanitarian in addition to being a scientist. And with this, we have completed this lesson. I hope you all have understood about the lesson, and now you are able to solve the questions and answers from the chapter. Thank you so much.